So Bob, good afternoon, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. You were at Tommy's event yesterday.
Yep.
You saw the documentary film being released. Yeah, I was also there, as you know. I was on the stage with Tommy. I was I was his photographer yesterday.
Yeah.
It's now been declared that he has been arrested for contempt of court.
Yep.
As a direct result of him releasing that film yesterday.
Yes.
He explained why he released it, and he explained it was likely he would get arrested and imprisoned.
Yeah.
Now that's happened, or the process has started.
Yeah.
What's your comments?
So my thoughts are, firstly, I'm glad that Tommy did what he did, because I think for a long time, a lot of people have gone under the belief that the British state is like free of corruption and that it is a state that functions without political malignancy working through the institutions. And actually what Tommy Robinson's documentary did, and the actions of the state towards Tommy Robinson demonstrate, is that our state operates to a political ideology, and if you're a dissident that steps outside of the realms of that political ideology and you gain traction, the state will use state apparatus to crush you and to break you down. And so the arrest of Tommy Robinson kind of proves his point. I know that, I know that the court said don't release that film, but that film raises some very serious questions about how the state operates, about how the state covers things up, and how the state and the media seek to push certain kinds of narratives into the world, even when those narratives are not true, as demonstrated by the documentary that he released. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, you can go to Urban Scoop and you can actually see the release of the documentary that I'm talking about. I think it's called Silenced, is that what it's called? It's called Silence, so go and watch it, because it raises some serious questions about whether our state and whether our media and whether our courts are operating in an unbiased, objective fashion, or whether actually they're pushing a certain political agenda.
What was your overall assessment, Bob, of the event yesterday and the fact that so many patriots were there of all colours, black, white, pink, blue? There were even mums and dads with prams and young children.
Yeah.
What does that say about the event? What's your own assessment?
Well, my own assessment of yesterday's march with Tommy Robinson is that it once again proves that the media is lying about him. The media presents Tommy Robinson as a racist, alt-right figure that's against people that aren't white. And on stage, there were black gospel singers. Like in the midst of the crowd, you had people from every ethnicity. There were Iranians, there were Asians, there were Brits, there were Afro-Caribbeans. Street Mike had access to the stage, photographing everything that he could. If it moved, he took a photograph. You know, and so the point is, the media is lying about Tommy Robinson, and they're lying about Tommy Robinson supporters because they're trying to portray us as racists. And that's just not true. It's just contradicted by the evidence. And the fact that nearly 100,000 people came on that march, somewhere between 70,000 and 100,000 people were out on that march, I bet you that number has not even been bandied about. It shows that Tommy Robinson is speaking to a lot of issues that a lot of people feel aren't being addressed. And I hope that the movement grows. And I hope people lose their fear of standing up for what is right and what is true in our country.
You were in Parliament, outside Parliament, on the 1st of June, when Tommy released another documentary film called Two-Tier Policing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was Two-Tier Policing.
Yeah. What happened today, doesn't that corroborate what Tommy's been arguing?
Yeah, we've got an example of, we can list a whole bunch of examples of where the state seems to come down harder on some groups than it does on others. So for instance, who saw the clip of that Muslim fella standing outside the police station with a microphone saying that if we don't get what we want, these motherfuckers are going to get it? And that's to quote him. Did you all see that? Yeah. That man has not been arrested for an incitement to violence. He hasn't been arrested for an incitement to hatred. He said it in a public place. It's been broadcast. No arrests. Now, let me just answer his question, bro. He's doing the interview. So the point is that, and a number of other examples that we've seen where the police come down on patriots with batons and riot horses whilst allowing Palestinians to call for, and Palestinian supporters to call for jihad in the street without so much as cuffing anyone, tells us that we've got a two-tier policing system. And that means that we've all got a problem in this country. Every one of us has a problem in this country, because if we're not all being policed the same and we're not all being judged the same, then that means that we are becoming second-class citizens in this country. That is a problem that you should all mobilize to fight against. You should all mobilize to stand against. He's doing the interview, bro. So as Christians, particularly as Christians, who believe in equality under the law for every person, they have to stand against this emergent two-tier culture.
My final question, Bob, and it's probably the easiest. Now that our Tommy has been arrested, it is now public knowledge, it's in the media, Google it, you'll find it. Tommy predicted it was going to happen.
Yeah.
What do you see the public doing over the coming days?
Not very much. Not very much, because a lot of the British public are still distracted by bread and circuses. Yes. They're still more concerned about their football, their cigarettes, their beer, and the Olympics, which I'll get on to. And so they're not while ever they're not affected by everything that's happening, people aren't going to stand up to it. And what we need to do, and the people that are tuned into what's happening, we need to wake up our families. We need to wake up our friends. We need to talk to people about what's happening in this country and how things are sliding in the wrong direction. And we need to use examples. We need to demonstrate our point with examples so that we can rouse people out of their slumber. And we shouldn't be frightened to use anger. And we shouldn't be frightened to use energies of them against us as a means of marshalling people. But we need to make sure that that anger is directed towards positive outcomes through positive means. Not just random acts of violence or random acts of vandalism or random acts of hatred, but rather through the correct kind of political activism that can result in change.